hedgehog colour.
Today we have for you our Misty Creative Corners Lesson 2. If you missed Lesson 1, you can check it out on our YouTube channel, Hedgehog Hollow, or you can just pop over to the link blog post that's in the description below as well. Today we're going to show you how to make mirrored corners using some layering coins from Hero Arts. Maddie has our sample here that we're going to be working with. That way, that's it. And we're also going to show you how to get a straight and consistent angled sentiment here, like this just keeps swimming. We're going to show you how to build up perfect layers and then also use your Misty corners to just make you able to stamp right up to the edge, as I have done here, or you can stamp off the edge really easily as well. We've also got a top tip of how to apply sequins to your projects, so let's get started. So for lesson 2, we're going to be looking at doing some mirror imaging on the corners using one of the new Misty corners, and we're going to use the angled sentiment as well. So for that, I'm going to use the Hero Arts layering koi set, which I've got recently, and I also bought the inks that go with it. Now, I have to say these aren't my favourite choices of ink, and I've been playing around, hence this is in some different colours. But what we are going to do is we're going to follow the ones on the packaging, and then you can decide when you do your own how you want to layer them up. So on the back, when you get these layering sets from Hero Arts, you have what colours they suggest you do the kois in. So they start with a white, so I'm just going to leave it plain. So therefore I'm not going to do the solid image. I'm just going to do these 3 here. So that you do them in a light grey, in an orange, and then in the dark grey as well. So to do this, I'm going to use my mini Misty, and I've pre-cut down my layered piece of cardstock. And I'm just going to use this corner in here. So I'm just going to pop this snug into this bottom corner, and I'm then going to put my cardstock into it. Then we're going to take our stamp set, which is here, and we're not going to use this bottom one because we want this to be in white. We're going to use the next one. Now I'm going to put this so it fits nicely around my corner here, and then I can just flip the cardstock and we're going to stamp it up here. So let's pick this up with our Misty. And then I'm going to use the soft granite that comes in the set, and I'm going to ink up my koi. So these are the same size cubes as the mini distress inks, which is why I store them in one of those little tins. And I store the Hero Arts sets in rows because they all come in 4s of how they came in the sets, so it's easier for me to find when I need to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this around here. Again, butt my cardstock up into this corner, take my soft granite and ink up my stamp. And I'm going to stamp it down again. So I've got these mirror image on the 2 corners, which is a great thing you can do with these Misty corners. By having it up here, if I wanted to stamp something slightly off the edge, I'm not too constricted. And the other thing is, quite often a photopolymer has a small edge around it. If my stamp was down here, I really struggle to fit my stamp right up to the corner, which is how I want it. So these corners are great for that. So now I'm just going to use my chamois to clean it off. And this is just plain water on here. Occasionally I give it a spritz with stamp cleaner, but I mainly just use water and the chamois, although mine could do with a clean, looking at it there. Then we're going to use layer 2, which almost looks like these sort of scaly layers. And we're going to line this up. So it's quite easy to line up on this koi because it follows the curvature of the fish. But roughly you want this kind of nosy piece in the front here, and this goes between the 2 eyes when you're trying to line it up. So that looks, I'm just going to put it directly, so I look directly down on it. It's quite often easier with these stamps if you look straight down, and I won't put my head in the camera that way. So it's worth spending the time to just get that alignment right, because you only have to do it once because you're going to line it back into this corner, so you know it's going to be in the right place. And then it says to stamp this layer in the orange, and I'm going to use the neon orange because I think it shows up really nicely and it's not quite as garish as you see it on the cube. So I'm going to stamp this down. I'm going to lift it up, and again we're going to turn it around and we're going to do the same thing. and we'll stamp it down. So that's our second layer done. Now we just got some extra detail to add in the charcoal, which is the darker shade. So we'll grab that out and put the soft granite back. And I'm just going to wipe this off with my stamp chamois. If you haven't heard of a stamp chamois, I will, in the linked blog post, I will explain exactly what one is and how you use it and how you clean it and all that great stuff. So be sure to check out the linked blog post. It could be either below, above or to the side, depending what device you're on. But you just click the downward arrow or the sideways arrow and it will show you a full description of the video, and in there is a linked blog post. And it also tells you about our daily tips on Facebook Live, which you can join on Facebook at Hedgehog Hollow Ink. So I'm just doing here the sort of eyes and mouth using that darker charcoal shade. And I'm doing exactly the same, just switching it around and stamping down. So that is it. That's your fish already done. And now we can do our sentiment. And I'm going to do the sentiment in the charcoal exactly the same as we've done these darker layers, just so it all kind of pulls together. And I decided, actually, you do get some sentiments in here about peace and harmony and good fortune. But one of our favourite phrases in this house is the dories just keep swimming. So I have the layering goldfish as well from Hero Arts, and I like this just keep swimming. So I'm going to go with that again because it's just fun. And then you can use some of your angled pieces to line up your sentiment. So you could either use this one if you want more of an angle, or this is a more kind of subtle angle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift this up and put my cardstock underneath fairly evenly, around about 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to work out where I want to put my sentiment, and then I can just pull it out appropriately. This allows my sentiment to be lined up, but the one issue I have here is my G sticks out, so I'm going to line it actually up against the just keep. So we'll start in this corner here, and I'm going to line up my just keep against here so I know it's nice and straight, and like that. And so I've got this butted up against here, so I get a nice consistent angle. I know it's not going to be skew with, and because of the way I've done the fish, I know that it's going to be nicely aligned as well. So I'm going to move up just a tiny weeny bit. I'm going to close my lid. Now I could stamp with this in place, but I prefer, once I've picked it up, to just remove this, just in case I nudge it and then I get a funny stamped image. But you can absolutely, with photopolymers, just stamp down as it is. And then we're going to put our just keep swimming on there. I'm just going to make that slightly darker. Something I think would look really nice if you did your bottom fish, you had a pearlized white pad, something I'd really like to add to my collection to try on this. I think it'd give you a really nice shimmery bottom layer. Just be sure if you're using pigment that you dry it, heat dry it first, just so that it doesn't come off on some of the other layers. So that's our finished card piece. I'm going to take it out of here, and I have one of my craft sheets that are my pre-cuts, and I'm going to use the Broken China Distress Oxide and one of my barber's brushes. So this is my blue brush, and I'm going to start here, and then I'm just going to work in. I want it to be more intense around the corners and quite light around where the goldfish, or the koi rather, are. So I don't want blue koi, but the barber's brush will allow you to kind of go light and dark as you wish. And you can just keep working. I'm going to put a little bit in here, but just not too much. And again, just a little bit here. And this just makes it look, I think if we just left it plain white, it looked a little bit too plain. And I just wanted to soften it up, and I'm going to put a bit more through the middle where that sentiment is. And the barber's brushes will allow you to do that. You can dab down for some quite intense colour like I did here, or you can just do a nice sweeping motion and you'll get something a little bit lighter. So that's our blue area, and I'm just going to put that straight to the side. I just clean my craft sheets with a baby wipe, or sometimes even my stamp chamois. You can see I've got some here on my work surface. I can just clean it straight off. My stamp chamois cleans pretty much everything in my workspace, my Misti, everything. Then I'm going to use a piece of Nina Desert Sand that I've cut down the middle from 8.5 by 11. We're going to fold that in half.
I'm going to take my tape runner, and I've ordered some different tape runners to try out, so I'll let you know how I get on with those as well. And I'm just going all the way around. And I want to stick this on. Now you'll see I always open up my cards when I stick down my layers. I just find it helps me get it a bit more even, and it's not going to flap up and down on me when I'm trying to stick it down. So just for a finishing touch, I decided I'm just going to firm up that fold with a bone folder. I decided to add some sequins, and I had a lovely blue collection of sequins from Neat and Tangled. Maddie did my labels, hence I have some little extras on there too. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use my little magnetic bowl, which I'll link up for you because lots of you seem to like these bowls. I put a nice selection in there. It's great because it's magnetic, because I can use tools and things or dies to put in there, or I can just use it as it is. I'm going to get a new micro brush because that one is my sticky stick. I need to put some tape around it. And these you'll have seen me use previously, and I used it in lesson 1 of our Misti video as well. So first of all, I'm just going to pick out the sequins that I want. So I want some blues. Let's do some big ones up here. We'll have some more down here. I have to say I just do tend to sprinkle them on and see what I like, what I don't like. And you can just keep putting them back in the bowl like this. And we'll have a little, I love the blue, how it ties it together, and I love the clears and the whites because I think they look just like the sea. And I don't want these to look too staged. That's another great thing about if you just kind of pick up a few, sprinkle them on and see what you like this. You kind of add something more random than you do otherwise. So I'm going to have that as my layout. Now for the bigger sequins, I use my tweezers and some glue dots. So these are my glue dots here, and I just use my tweezers. I can pick them up. These are great long nose tweezers. Again, it'll all be linked up on the blog post. And with that long nose, I can just press them down. I don't have to get my finger in there and get it all messy. So let's do those bigger ones first. Like this. And just stick them down, nice and easy. And it's really quick doing them this way. If I'm doing a huge project, I will just stick a selection of sequins and on my roll, and then I just go with it. Not that one, but we do want this one. And we missed one here. And if you just get a little bit off the edge, you can just put it in with your finger. It will work just fine. The glue dots do cure, so now they're a little bit more malleable. Within an hour or so, with air, they'll be pretty solid. So we'll pick these last two up, and then I'll show you how I stick down my smaller sequins. There we go, like this. And then for my smaller sequins, I use these micro brushes. These are a dentist tool. They're great for all sorts of things. And this is exactly as I showed you in lesson 1. So I'm going to use my Tombow glue. Now you can either put a little bit on your craft sheet, or you can just pick some up from the nozzle like this, which is much easier when you just have a couple of sequins to do. I pick them up with my tweezers. And I just dab that little bit on the back. And sometimes I drop it like that, but that's fine. Where else do we have a little one? You can also just pick them up on your finger if you find that easier. And I'm rushing because I'm videoing. And this one's a dry one, so I'm going to stick that down. And something I found the other day, use my tweezers to put that right down. Everything's sticking. And I'm sure you've had the same thing at home. And I don't think I stuck this one down. And a little bit of glue on sequins will go a very long way. Ooh, there we go. So they are all now stuck down. I will leave it to cure just a little while. But what I did find is once you've got the Tombow glue on there, I left one out the other night by mistake, but it was a happy accident, because what I found is, this is the dry one that I left out, is they turn into sticky sticks. So they're like a homemade sticky stick, which is hard to say fast. So I can pick up a sequin or I can pick up a smaller sequin. I've got lots more dexterity as well, and you can see sometimes a little bit difficult with tweezers, but these are great. So you can also just leave these out to dry once you put some Tombow on them and make your own sticky sticks. So thanks for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed our video. If you have, please give us a big thumbs up at the bottom there. You can subscribe to our channel for twice weekly tutorial videos. Check out the blog hedgehoghollow.co.uk for more ideas and tutorials, and also our YouTube channel here, Hedgehog Hollow on YouTube, and we're also at Hedgehog Hollow on Instagram. And as I mentioned previously, you can join us on Facebook, Hedgehog Hollow Inc. INK, for daily Facebook lives where we give you some stamping tips. So see you again soon. Happy stamping. Bye.